Discipline and deception. Geronda, I am afraid of self-deception. That's good. One who is afraid of self-deception is not deceived, for he is careful and reveals all of his thoughts. He hides nothing, and this is how he receives help and guidance. What is the predisposition to self-deception? A predisposition to self-deception is thinking you are somebody and showing others that you are doing something important. It's imagining that you have reached spiritual heights because you believe, let's say, that you have self-discipline, as opposed to these others here who haven't even begun to understand the meaning of spiritual life yet. Behaving in such a proud manner is clearly a disposition to deception. When someone strains and pressures himself egotistically into self-discipline in order to attain the heights of a saint and be admired by others, this is the start of self-deception. Violence, humble self-violence for the sake of the kingdom of God is one thing and strain is another. Once I had counseled someone, be careful not to be deluded by your way of life. You are not on the right path. I be deceived, he asked incredulously. I don't even eat meat, he said, but he doesn't go to confession either, and instead confesses his sins before the icon of Christ. So I asked him, are you really an Orthodox Christian, or are you a Protestant? Where did you see this written? Why, he retorted, doesn't Christ hear me? Now, what kind of talk is that? Geronda, does physical discipline help in our struggle against the passions? It does, if it's used for that purpose. The body is humbled and the flesh is subjected to the spirit. But mere barren physical discipline creates illusions about oneself because it intensifies the passions of the soul, inflates pride, increases self-confidence, and leads to deception. One then draws conclusions about his spiritual progress from the barren ascetic life he is leading. I am doing this and that, while others are way behind. I've reached the level of that saint. I am way ahead of the other saint. And goes on, fasting and doing vigils. But everything goes to waste because none of this is done for the sake of eliminating passions. Instead, it's all for the sake of satisfying the ego. I once met a monk who was carrying out ascetic exercises proudly and who imagined that he was a great ascetic. He had become wretched. He wouldn't eat, wouldn't wash, and lived in squalor. His clothes had dissolved from the filth. I went to wash them, but there was nothing to wash. They had rotted. Once he said to me, I have surpassed Saint John the Hut Dweller. So I asked him, did Saint John the Hut Dweller achieve sainthood because of great filth? After a few days he came back to tell me, I have surpassed Saint Maximus the Athonite and the Hut Burner. How have you surpassed them? I asked. Well, I have walked all over and around the holy mountain just like a spinning top, he answered with pride. But Saint Maximus had become angelic and virtually flew from one place to another. He wasn't wandering around like you, I said. After that he practiced remembrance of death and imagined himself in hell. Then he would try to humble himself and would say, now I am a devil and will go to gather followers. That's when he attained the full measure of deception.